You know, the white bass is one of the hardest fighting freshwater game fish species in our region, but he doesn't grow very large. A 2-pound white bass is a legitimate big fish, but there's one exception to the rule, and that's right over my right shoulder. That is the Sabine River. It's located in deep East Texas, and from Toledo Bend Reservoir up the Sabine River swim some of the largest white bass anywhere in our region. We're going fishing for those today. You're going to get to go with us. This is Fox Sports Outdoors.
It's time now for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southwest region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors Southwest.
A little morning fog rolling down the Sabine River this morning. You know, this place is really legendary. It's got a lot of history to this river. It runs for a long ways down the entire east side of the piney woods of deep East Texas. But the thing that we're here for today is the legendary white bass spring spawning run that happens every year up the Sabine River. The rest of the year, these huge white bass live in Toledo Bend Reservoir, which is a long ways that way down that river. They swim 40 or 50 miles upriver to spawn every year, just like a salmon does. Now the river is up a little bit high this year. We've had quite a bit of rain in East Texas. The level is up, and that's going to present a few challenges to finding the spots in the current where these white bass are spawning. But the white bass run is in full swing right now. We're going to take you out today, show you that run, give you a few tips and pointers if you'd like to plan your very own fishing trip to the most famous big white bass fishing spot in Texas and Louisiana. While we're doing that, you get to go around your local lakes, rivers, and bays for your fishing report from your own backyard from our expert team of insider reporters. Hey, we're in for a lot of fun today. Right now, that bass tracker, Pro Team 175, gets launched into the famous Sabine River. Right now, we get you started back at the FSN studios with your weekend planner.
The Lunar tables are forecasting the best times for fishing to take place around the dawn and dusk hours this weekend. Expect peak morning times to start at 6:20 on Saturday and 7:04 on Sunday. Look for the sun to rise at 7:21 and set at 7:44. And evenings will feature a moon that is 64% visible. Stay with us. We'll be right back with freshwater and coastal fishing updates from around the region. Plus, Mr. Crappie Wally Marshall joins us to answer this week's Ask the Pro question.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Tracker Boats. It's more than just a boat, it's a tracker. By Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. By Mercury Marine, official outboard of Fox Sports Outdoors. And by Lowrance Electronics. Find, navigate, dominate.
There we go. There's a good pull. Oh yeah, that's a big female. Look at that dude. Look at that big dude right there. Don't jump. Yeah, look at that. There's a big fat female right there. I want to show you something. You know, you got to get used to fishing around a lot of people when you do this. Golly, look at the belly on that fish. Big fish, 2.5 pounder or so. Look, this creek right here behind me, you can see that there's people all up in there, several boats fishing. And if you're gonna do this, especially in the springtime, you kind of got to get used to fishing around some other folks. And you know, white bass are not like a largemouth, smallmouth, spotted bass, some of the other species. When they spawn, they're real spooky. They don't feed. They're not real aggressive. They just want to sit there and spawn. Man, a white bass, he's just crazy. He's nuts. He's a ballistic fish. Even around all these boats and trolling motors and people, they're feeding anyway, and a white bass, even when she's up there actually laying her eggs, is still real aggressive, and that little lure comes swimming by and they just eat it anyway. So basically this time of the year, if you can cast and reel in, doesn't matter if it's a spin cast reel, a spinning reel, bait cast reel, whatever you can handle, this is the easiest time of the year to be able to catch fish anywhere across our region when these white bass make this big push. But you want to find these little creeks, tributaries, those kind of places. The fish are everywhere, they're real aggressive, and it's a great time of the year to catch them. Big female right there. Man, that's what this is all about. Biggest white bass in the state of Texas right there. Let's get you some more fishing and lake reports locally.
Hi folks, and welcome to this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by the 11th annual Legend of Lake Fork Big Bass Tournament, May 15, 16, and 17. Now they're paying 8 places each hour, each day, and there are 5 legend boats up for grabs. And the best part, this tournament is open to any make or model boat. Bring what you got, let's go fishing. Now, this week we're just north of Nacogdoches at tiny Lake Nacogniche, one of the newest bass lakes in Texas. And it is coming on strong. There are some monster bass in here, and we're just now hitting the stride of the spawn. So get your Texas rigs with your lizards, your creatures, and your crawfish, or your rattle traps, your spinner baits, and maybe your Cincos, and get up there in that shallow water. 10, 12, no more than 12 feet of water. Fish up toward the bank. In the timber, you'll connect with some big bass. Now it's also a good crappie lake. Work out toward the points of the timber in a little bit deeper water with your live bait, your minnows, and of course catfish on prepared baits. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by the 11th annual Legend of Lake Fork Big Bass Tournament. Now let's check in with Mr. Bill Olson. You'll find him on the coast.
Hi folks, this week's report is brought to you by Port Aransas on Mustang Island, the fishing capital of Texas, where anglers enjoy pristine bays, estuaries, 18 miles of surf, and the deep blue waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Plus the local restaurants will even cook your catch come sundown. Come fish and play Texas Island style. For more information, visit portaransas.org. Well, some of the warmest weather of this early spring season has occurred on the Texas coast. Port Isabel has seen water temperatures start to rise and fishing for speckled trout much improved. Redfish action also remains good on shallow grass flats, as well as the sand and grass bars out in front of Port Isabel. Mid-coast anglers are seeing the positive impact of higher tides coming into the bay system through Packery Channel, the Port Aransas jetties, Cedar Bayou, and Pass Cavallo. These higher tides are bringing bait into the bay, and the additional water is flooding back lake areas where trout and redfish are being caught. Trophy trout anglers have scored on fish in Baffin Bay as well as Nueces when the winds have allowed. Corky Devils and Catch 2000 have produced around mudshell bottoms. On the upper coast, Chocolate Bay and the satellite bays around San Luis Pass, around Bolivar Peninsula and East Galveston Bay, plus some mussel shell flats on Sabine are giving up some good fish on a variety of soft plastics or live shrimp fished under a rattling float. Most jetties are seeing a variety of fish that include sheep's head, big black drum, some puppy drum, plus a few specks and reds. Live shrimp that are free-lined are catching most of the fish. This weekend, Saturday has a double tide schedule of 2 high and 2 low tides. This Sunday is a 3 tide day with 1 high tide and 2 low tides. I'm Bill Olson, and I'll see you on the coast.
There's one. Feels like a good one. Oh, look at that. That's a big one. I gotta get the net on him. Look at that big pig. Man, that's the biggest one yet. That's a toad. We're gonna stick the scale on him. I just want to give you some idea of how big these fish are running. 3 pounds, 214, 214, almost 3 pounds right there. That, my friends, is a pig of a white bass. That's a toad. Biggest one we've caught today. We finally caught nearly a 3 pound white. Look at the big fat spawn and belly on that female right there. This is what can happen when you come to the Sabine River. Biggest white bass anywhere in the state of Texas. That's the biggest one I've ever caught in my life. I don't think I've ever caught a 214 white bass. Very few people have. Just a huge, huge fish. Back that one goes. She gets to go spawn. This is her lucky day. Wow. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break right here, but before we do, I want to mention that you need to join our Twitter feed. Here's the deal. We're going to be putting up a lot of pictures, photos, videos, fishing news, and information that you'll never see here on the TV show, but maybe more importantly, we're giving away free gear all season long on our Twitter feed. But you have to be on our Twitter feed to be eligible. Go to twitter.com, search for Fox Sports Outdoors, or we are at @Fox_Outdoors. That's the address to get to our feed. Click the follow button, then you're eligible for all the free stuff we'll be giving away all season long. can see we've made a little move off the main Sabine River channel. It's pretty murky out there. It's not just milk chocolate muddy, but it's pretty murky. And we've moved into a little ditch or a little feeder creek. Now this feeder creek has got some current in it, but not nearly as much as the main river channel itself. There's one. And a lot of times you can move back in a spot like this and find a bunch of fish ganged up in one spot. She is not happy to be hooked at all. Boy, that's a good 2.5 pound female, something like that. Fat spawning belly. Oh, almost dropped her. There's your look right there. Beautiful, big, heavy white bass. Back that fish goes. Thank you. There's actually 3 reasons why these fish will move back into these feeder creeks. Number 1, the water's shallower. They want to move out of that deep water and get into a shallow place with some good hard sandy bottom that they can actually lay those eggs. Secondly, the current is a little less in here. They want current, but as I said at the beginning, the river's up right now. There's a lot of current in the river and there's less back in these feeder creeks. And thirdly, the water's cleaner back in here. Not that it's milk chocolate muddy or anything, but it's just a little cleaner water back in here. And it's a place where you could float down that river and get bit and catch some whites, just one every once in a while. But if you move back into a spot like this, a lot of times you'll find these fish ganged up like that, and you can catch a bunch of fish in one spot. Good one. Good one. Put that under him too. Man, what a deal. I tell you, see what I'm telling you? They'll just gang up in one spot and you can just catch fish after fish after fish. What a deal. Big, fat female, 2.5, 2 3/4 pound white bass. Hey, it's time to get you some more fishing and lake reports from your region. Let's go to Oklahoma. Gary Dallahan.
Hey, a couple of things to really get excited about here in Oklahoma at this time. One is the fact that spring is here. The trees are blooming, the grass is really starting to green up fast now. I like it. The other thing is we have lots of small bodies of water here in the state that offer exceptional springtime bass fishing. I like to explore those. When I look at the Oklahoma Water Atlas, I see about 50 lakes of 200 acres or less here in the state. Many of those are city water supplies. Now, I made a recent exploratory outing with son BJ and grandson Rob up to Lake Waxahoma. This is the city of Barnstall Lake. It's located about 15-20 minutes north of Skytook. Cool little lake, about 200 acres. It does require a city permit to fish it. It's got a decent little boat ramp. It looks like you could get about any size of bass boat in and out of there. Now, we found the water to be extremely clear at this time. Surface temp about 48 degrees. That seems to be the norm across the state right now, somewhere in that 48 to 56, 58 degree range. The warm nights have really contributed to that staying warm. Now, we didn't have long to fish, so what we did was threw crankbaits along the chunky rock shorelines. There's a lot of that on this body of water. Some of that has deep water right up against it. Some has shallow edges that went out and then dropped off. BJ caught a really nice fat little bass. Great color, great shape. Obviously had been stocking up on feed, getting ready for that spawning condition. Now, the deepest water we found in Waxahoma was about 25 feet. The very upper end of it is shallow. Looks like a couple of little creeks coming in on the upper end of it. Really a neat place to check out. I hope you make it to some of our small bodies of water here in the state, but one thing about it, you can't catch them if you don't go.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. By Lose, setting a new standard of fishing performance. Feel the difference. By Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland Lures. With our baits, a good day of fishing is in the bag. And by Stren Fishing Lines, the standard of dependability.
There, we got another one. You can see I've moved back up in a creek here, up in some fairly shallow water. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Let's throw the net under that fish real quick. Yeah. That's a big old Sabine River white right there. Let me tell you something. This is some of the funnest stuff you can do to take a kid fishing. If you want to teach somebody how to fish that's not experienced, as long as you can cast and reel back in, you can catch these fish, especially in the spring when they're this aggressive and up spawning. So if you want to do this, you don't even have to have a lot of high-tech gear. You don't have to have a lot of electronics. You don't even have to have a boat, really. We get a lot of emails from people who want to talk about shore fishing. Well, this is the time of the year to do it, to go out there for the next month, 6 weeks, catch these white bass while they're up in this shallow water. Walk the banks, throw out there and catch them. If you want to come and do this at this location here on the Sabine, Tom and Jane Gallenbach have River Ridge Campground. It's located just south of Carthage, Texas. We'll put some information up on the screen right here, but they'll take you on a guide trip. They've got some nice boats, nice gear, got everything you need. All you have to do is show up. They'll bring you out here and do this. You can also go ahead and book it in advance for next year because it's a fairly short window that these fish are up doing this, and then they go back down to the reservoir. So if you want to contact them, you can at the information you see on your screen. It's a lot of fun, great way to take somebody and get them initiated into the sport of fishing. Hey, time now for some more local fishing reports from your neck of the woods. Let's go to Cajun Phil and Kevin in Louisiana.
Right now I'm going to talk to you about Calcasieu Lake and big redfish, specifically down at the Gulf Jetties. Had Dean Caldwell and a couple of his friends down today. We went out to the Gulf Jetties. Everybody caught their oversized red. We threw some back. Friends, right now we're catching them throwing Gulf on 1/2 and 3/4 ounce Rockport Rattler jig heads, fishing in that current. I tell you what, the trout action is heating up. We've been getting a lot of rain, a lot of fresh water coming down, so it's got the trout bite turned off just a little. But I'll tell you what, the redfish action is picking up and it's looking like it's going to be a good year. Right now we're going to turn it over to Cajun Field and see what's going on the bass side.
Thanks, Captain Kevin. I tell you what, friends, what a time to be a freshwater fisherman in the state of Louisiana right now. I made about 30 phone calls. Not one place that I called did it say they're not catching bass or white perch. We talked to some friends that went over to the Atchafalaya Basin. They caught lots of bass. They caught them on small crankbaits. Matter of fact, it was like a -1. All they did was come across the top of the water. They hammered bass, nothing big, but lots of 2 to 3 pound bass. Up on Lake Chico, at Chico State Park, lots of bass. There they're coming off of lipless crankbaits, something like a rattle trap. Also small spinnerbaits, 1/4 ounce spinnerbaits. One gold blade's been working the best, either white or chartreuse skirt. And I tell you what, also a lot of white perch being caught there. They're being caught on little tube jigs or little tiny bass assassins. There's a place down around Houma, Louisiana called Black's Bayou. We got several people that I met this week at the show down in Gonzales that tell me that they were hammering both bass and white perch on Black's Bayou. There, they're also throwing spinnerbaits. Small spinnerbaits, white skirt's doing good, either silver or gold blade, it didn't seem to matter. Come on down and get you some.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Exide AGM Marine Batteries. Starts like new, stays like new longer. By Motor Guide Trolling Motors. Introducing the XI5 for ultimate boat control. By Fort Worth Nissan. Fox Sports Outdoors is powered by Fort Worth Nissan. And by Nitro Performance Fishing Boats. Champions aren't born, they're made.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the Ask the Pro segment, where viewers get expert insights from professional anglers. This week's question comes from Kenneth, who asks, after you have finished making a brush pile for crappie, should fish food or chum be put into it? For the answer, we checked with the man people call Mr. Crappie, Wally Marshall.
You know, I never put any kind of cottonseed cake or any kind of specialty products designed to draw crappie, because what that does is actually draw rough fish to your brush pile, and all they're going to do is tear up your shade, which is the #1 structure for crappie. That's the reason you're putting that brush in there. You want algae to grow on your brush, so the zooplankton's there and the minnows are there. No bait whatsoever added to my brush piles.
Thanks, Wally. If you have something to ask one of the pros, simply visit our website and follow the Ask the Pro link to submit your question. Now, someone is going to win a new pair of sunglasses on the Costa Catch of the Week.
This week's winner in the Costa Catch of the Week contest is Dustin Rhodes of Brookshire, Texas. He is showing a 6-foot alligator gar that weighed well over 100 pounds that he caught at Lake Livingston, Texas, and he caught it on rod and reel. If you'd like to enter our Costa Catch of the Week contest and have a chance to win a free pair of sunglasses like our winner does on this week's show, just go to our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. On the right side of the front page, click in the Costa Catch of the Week box, follow the instructions, send us your photo, you could be our next winner. And you can see all of the Costa frame and lens styles at the Costa website. Go back to the front page of our site, click on the Costa logo, and it takes you right there. You can see everything, all the frame styles, all the lens styles, including the frame style I was wearing this week called Caballito. Next up is the Academy Right Stuff, the right gear to catch these white bass, and I love this brand new Lou's Custom Speed Stick spinning rod. It's perfect for catching these fish. Got a nice soft tip so you can feel those strikes. Got a lot of beef right here in the backbone so you can horse those 2 to 3 pound white bass in. I've got it spooled with 10-pound test Stren original line in the clear blue fluorescent color. You can get away with a little more color in this water because it's pretty stained. And then I caught pretty much all the fish today on a lead jig head with a little willow leaf spinner on it, and I had it tipped with a Jean LaRue Rally Grub. This is also my first chance to fish that spinning reel. It's brand new. It's the Lou's Tournament Pro spinning reel, pretty much the Lou's top end spinning reel. Got everything you would ever want to catch these whites. Recently, I had a chance to visit Centennial Park in downtown Atlanta, Georgia, where they held the Olympic Games. And right in the middle of the park, there's a statue of Baron Pierre de Coubertin. Now, I don't know if I pronounced the Frenchman's name correctly, but he is the father of the modern day Olympic Games and the founder of the International Olympic Committee. Now, there's a quote underneath the statue, and I want to read it because I want to make sure I get it right. It says, "The most important thing in the Olympic Games is not to win, but to take part. Just as in life, the most important thing is not the triumph, but the struggle. The essential thing is not to have conquered, but to have fought well." I agree with that principle. Life is a journey. Things don't always go our way. A lot of times there are obstacles and struggles that we must endure. And in our competitive society, it's not always about the winning, but in the fighting well. Never, never, ever, ever give up. Hey, I'm glad you joined us on this week's episode here on the beautiful Sabine River in East Texas. You can take these principles that we use to catch these white bass here and catch them on a river or a creek near you. Don't forget, our show will be on next week at a special time of 5:30 on Thursday evening, with the repeat airing Saturday morning at 7:30. And don't forget, you can always see the latest episode of our show right up on the front page of our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. You can also get to our Facebook page from there. We mentioned how important it is to join our Twitter feed and follow us. You can get there from the website as well. And very important, you can catch up on all the past episodes and see lots of product videos and how-to videos. Right below that main window there, you can see, click on past episodes and more videos here, and it'll take you right there. From the Sabine River in East Texas, until next week, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.